If there's a policy that is popular with 80% of a key demographic, wouldn't you support it? It's been baffling to me that rather than embrace smartphone-free schools, the government, specifically the Education Secretary, believes that it's a headline-grabbing gimmick. Perhaps they've forgotten that they are in charge, they're not in opposition anymore, and they're the governing party and can make change. Laura Trott, the Shadow Secretary of State for Education, has been championing the cause of smartphone-free schools in Parliament, and her calls for smartphone-free schools were rejected. And her colleagues took an amendment to committee to put smartphone-free schools guidance on a statutory footing, yet the government blocked it. There's clearly a movement around this. 80% of Kent parents support a meaningful ban on smartphones in schools. The lowest amount of support for this in any district is still 71%. According to my youth and parent surveys held at the end of last year, 34% of primary and 29% of secondary pupils have been bullied or picked on online. What's more children, both at secondary and primary, are admitting to being the ones doing the bullying, picking on and being mean to somebody else online. It's gone up by several percentage points. Of those who'd been bullied, only 46% of secondary and 57% of primary pupils told their parents or guardians. 30% of secondary and 21% of primary children said they hadn't told anyone. This contradicts what parents said, with only about 20% of parents believing their children have been picked on or bullied online, and 86% of the parents thinking their child had told them about the incident. When I asked whether the youngsters stopped using the platform on which they'd been bullied, nearly a quarter of parents believed they did, whereas 90% of primary and 85% of secondary students told us they continue to use the apps. Young people told me they're on their devices about an hour longer each day than their parents believe. More than 20% of them are online before 7 AM, and 10% of primary and 21% of secondary students are online after 11 PM. Over 60% of children reported bans or restrictions by their schools, with many schools now only allowing pupils to use their devices at break time. However, support for such a policy greatly differs. 80% of parents say they support a ban, as we've said, but only 30% of secondary pupils. However, more than half of primary school pupils said they would back a ban. We also asked secondary pupils whether they thought social media had made their life better or worse, and most said it had done neither, with just over 10% saying in fact it had made their lives worse. On the whole, parents told me they are monitoring at least some of their children's online behaviour, with only 3% not placing restrictions. Over a quarter of parents admitted they didn't know everything about their online activities, but young people's answers suggest that they do keep their parents quite well informed, and just a small percentage are deliberately hiding things from them. It's more important now than ever that we talk about the problems that social media, smartphones and online bullying are causing to young people, especially those who are suffering in silence. We need to support schools in implementing smartphone policies, but also educate parents about the risks of giving them to their children whilst they are still too young. I will continue to raise awareness of this problem with pupils, parents and teachers, and call on social media companies and manufacturers to act more ethically in dealing with the problem or face tougher legislation, which I will continue to lobby for. When this has been recorded, tomorrow there's a debate on the petition to increase the social media age to 16, something which I of course support. We shouldn't have young people on Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube under the age of 16 anyway, and we certainly shouldn't be giving them smartphones before they're 14. We need to look at alternatives, and I'm very pleased that we are seeing some momentum now around this campaign, and I hope that the government will listen.